Yo, you already know what time it is. It's cigars and coffee, baby. Cigars and coffee. So we are here for a very special edition. I don't know quite yet if I should call it the Judge edition or the alumnus edition. But we have an amazing guest here today. Judge DaSean Jones. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going? Doing well.
All right.
Doing well.
It is an absolute pleasure and a privilege to have you sit with me today.
Thank you.
So when we look at your resume as a whole, you're a father, a husband,
Yep.
a 23-year Army veteran.
Yep.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service. And like I said, you're a judge currently, but you're running for something else, correct?
Oh yeah. Supreme Court, Texas Supreme Court, place 2.
Supreme Court. We have a Supreme Court nominee in our midst today. So I'm gonna just we going up a little bit. That's all I'm saying. So thank you for joining me
Thank
here
you for having
today.
me.
So let's get right into it. Right? When you were younger, where'd you grow up? What schools did you go to? And then we'll get on to the accolades.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's always an honor and privilege to come and speak before anybody.
Gotcha.
So thank you for having me here. So
Yes, sir.
to your question, my dad was in the military, so I kind of grew up a little bit of everywhere. The main place I remember was Germany. We were there for probably the longest duration of time.
Wow.
Although I was born in Georgetown, South Carolina, but then we immediately went to Germany. I was there for probably about 5-6 years, that was a long time for me because we moved probably every 2 to 3 years. Yeah. And so it was me, I had an older sister, a younger sister and younger brother.
Okay.
What I most remember about, my youth is just the impact that my mother had on me. She's no longer here with me, so
Sorry
a lot
to
of
hear
things that I do today kind of are in honor of what she gave me, what she put inside me, and the seeds that she showed in me. So she was like the major factor, but she's no longer here. After I left Germany, we went to a nice little place called Leesville, Louisiana. Have you ever heard of Leesville?
I have not. Is it a stop sign town or is it an exit town? What? Explain
It was a
Leesville.
racist town. It was a racist town. That's what I remember it for.
Gotcha.
When I got there, I left Germany. You go, you visit, you go see the Rembrandt Museum, Anne Frank's house, a lot of culture, a lot of history.
Right.
I go back to Leesville, which is a lot of KKK. At the time, a gentleman named David Duke was running for, I think, governor, lieutenant governor, something like that.
I'm familiar with that name.
And everyone was ramped up to support him. And being a dark-skinned African-American male coming back from Germany, being introduced to American society, that was my introduction.
So, needless to say, culture shock.
Super culture shock. Super culture shock. Yeah, super culture shock. We went to a place called Rose Pond.
Okay.
That's where we lived at. We had to drive from. My dad was stationed at Fort Polk. We would drive to Rose Pond, and at times when my mother, when she would drive us from one place to the next, she'd have to tell us to lay down because they would shoot at the car because we're African American. Another time we were out for dinner. We had some folks I guess they got upset because we were eating at a certain place. And they spit on the car, and that caused an issue between my dad and some gentlemen. So interesting, super culture shock. I learned all about racism, all about
I
it,
bet.
real quick.
With the KKK in literally your backyard. That's as racist as it can get.
Yeah, it's pretty racist.
Wow.
And then so when I think I was middle school at the time we came back. Even in middle school, we had a junior KKK. So that turned into, luckily my dad, when we were in Germany, we did a lot of, like I told you earlier before, we started combat sports.
Gotcha.
One of the reasons I like combat sports because there was a lot of combat in middle school. So
trial by fire, you had to learn.
Yeah, and me and my brother were the only 2 African Americans at the school, which turned into a lot of fights, jumps, and all the other stuff that people may know about. So it made for interesting, youth. Yeah, very, very interesting. Yeah. But following that, we left there, went back to Germany because we begged my dad to get up out the situation. We were tired of being there. And we went back to Germany, great time again.
I do not blame you.
Yeah, then we came back to Kentucky, which we used to call Clantucky.
So you went from one town, went to Germany, then went to another town that was just as bad.
Yeah, we went to Kentucky, got up out of there as soon as possible, and finally went to Tuskegee, which was a great place to be for college. So
Got you. So you leave Kentucky and go straight to Tuskegee as in
Yeah,
going
once
to
once I
college?
graduated from high school, I got up out of there and went to Tuskegee. Yep.
Gotcha.
hmm
Tuskegee, HBCU.
Yep. One of the greatest, if not the greatest.
We're gonna just roll
One
right
of the
over
greatest,
that.
if not
Yeah,
the
yeah,
greatest.
yeah,
In case
yeah,
y'all
I-
try to cut it out, let me put it in there twice. One of the greatest, if not
Hey,
the greatest.
well, you know, it's-
1881.
It's a great
George
institute.
Washington Carver.
It's a great institute. We
You ever
we
played with
have
Super
to-
Soaker?
No,
You never played with Super Soaker?
No.
Oh, you okay?
no. But you know, whether you're going to Southern University or Prairie View or
You ever ate peanut butter?
I have
Great. Okay, you welcome.
George Washington Carver.
You welcome. You welcome.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So, explain your experience at a HBCU, leaving all of the prior schooling that you went to. How was that?
It was great. It was a time where I could actually be myself. You know what I'm saying? Didn't have to worry about fitting into certain cultural molds. I got to learn who I was in an environment that wasn't as judgmental. Met a lot of great friends, a lot of
Gotcha.
great education. Started to participate and learn about a lot of great history about, just black folks and
Okay.
what we've done in this country, what we've done for this country.
Wow.
Obviously, at Tuskegee, you got Tuskegee Airmen, so you learn a lot about that. You learn about George Washington Carver, all his experiments,
Right.
how he contributed to the Ford Company, things of that nature. And then obviously you learn some of the less than spectacular things like, Tuskegee syphilis experiment, government experimentation on African Americans. And you learn a lot of cool stuff. So
So
it was great.
you knew the root of the issue when people started coming out when they were saying, "Hey, let's all get the COVID vaccine," and everybody's like, "Oh no, you
Yeah,
seen the Tuskegee?"
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, really,
Yeah.
really, people.
I mean,
Come on.
historically though, if you get a group of folks that have been through something like that, you can't shame somebody for their experiences.
Gotcha.
You got people that I went to school with. They were like maybe like the second, third generation of those folks that actually were
Really
experimenting
close
on.
to it.
Yeah, so you can't blame them for that. So
Yeah. Wow. So you graduate from Tuskegee. Where does your journey take you next?
so I went through an ROTC scholarship.
Okay.
So
okay.
I became a second lieutenant upon graduation. I asked to become a field artillery officer, which someone tried to talk me out of, but I really wanted to do it. They had the coolest not skip, but presentation they gave us. They
I
flew
bet.
flew some howitzers in on a helicopter. They dropped them. They started shooting the rounds and stuff. I thought it was amazing. So I signed me up for that.
Sign me up for that, and
Sign-
twice on Sunday.
Yeah, signed me up for that. And became a field artillery officer in the Army. Went to what's it called? Right up there, Oklahoma,
Okay.
Fort Sill.
Okay.
Did my basic there, officer basic course there, and then went to I think 9/11 hit while I was in the course. I think we just finished in gunnery, and they're like, "Hey, you're going to war?" I'm like, "Okay." So I didn't initially go to war. I got shipped out to I went to Korea for a year.
Really?
Then came back. Then went to Iraq. Yeah.
What was that experience like? What all you can share?
Korea?
No, the Iraq experience.
I think there's a book. How's it go? It's the best of times, is the worst of times.
I hear you.
There's the best of times in a sense you really get to see who you are under a lot of pressure. Pressure you can't really replicate anywhere else. People say they've been through this, been through that. When people start shooting at you, things start blowing up around you, and you starting to have to, see, you actually see a lot of gruesome things. I won't get too graphic, but
Yeah,
you see a lot
yeah,
of things. It's a humbling experience,
I hear
and I think also something that it makes you closer to God if you have a faith belief.
You
or
say
whatever.
if you don't have one,
Yeah.
you will after that.
Yeah. Most definitely. It was two things that I always remember from Iraq. It was UGK and God. So me and my platoon, we had a little.
UGK. Boy, be Pimp C.
Yeah, so we be cleaning up our weapons and whatnot before we go out the gate, and a lot of
Okay.
times we play what's the song? One day here, next day you gone.
Oh.
Because we're living it. We're living it
there
every
you
day.
go.
Yeah, so that's how we
Wow.
felt. So they call it going out the gate. You get ready, you about to go out the gate, and a lot of times, sometimes as soon as you come out the gate, they start shooting at you. Sometimes be later. I was fortunate while I was there. We got into firefights. I was hit by IED. Me and my crew were hit by IED. I'm here, obviously. But you see a
great.
lot of stuff that you probably don't want to see again.
I hear you.
But it definitely it gives you humility, but gives you a sense of bravery too. Because when I came back to the United States, I'm kind of like, "What you gonna do to me?"
You cannot break me.
Yeah, somewhat. So it was
Wow.
good. I got to lead troops. I was platoon leader. You're responsible for people.
Okay.
And one of the things I take from that I've brought over here to where, you know, in the judge arena,
Okay.
is that I was responsible for everybody, whether you African American, Hispanic, Asian. I'm responsible for everybody, and I got to put those people before myself. And those are the people that I led. And to lead, you have to also know how to follow. And that's a big important thing I took from that too. And I think I use that now, leverage it to help me in this position I'm in today.
So you mentioned going from fighting in Iraq to taking some of those things to the courtroom. What are some other translations that you were able to take from that one-on-one or, you know, combat that's not so one-on-one at times, right? To being able to fight for our justice system in the courtroom?
I think one of the biggest things you have to do, particularly when you're in a leadership role in the military, in a war zone or a combat zone, as some people would say, you have to listen. A lot of times there's a lot of information that you're hearing, and you make decisions based on the information that you hear. You would get some leaders, they don't want to listen to nobody. You know, they're the smartest man in the room. You can't tell them
Which
anything.
is the scariest,
it's
man.
very, yeah, basically. And on the judge side, you know, you get parties, right? Your parties, you get people on both sides, and they're going to have their story or their facts, what they want to present you, their evidence. And if you fail to listen, you can make a huge error because you're not really listening to what's being said. You know, you're trying to Monday morning quarterback, as some people would say. You know, you're trying to go beyond what they've given you and make decisions based upon what you think rather than what you hear, and that's not a good idea. Not a good idea.
Wow. So you get done with the war. How do you go into becoming a judge?
First step was just getting into law school.
Okay.
So I got into law school. When I got to law school,
did you go to?
I went to Thurgood Marshall, Texas Southern, right down the street. Yeah, right down the street. Went there. So I got back. Was it? I think like mid-January. My mother, she passed away on Valentine's Day, 2008. When she passed away, oh yeah, thank you. But she died on Valentine's Day, and what it made me see at that point in time, because she was only 49 years old when she passed away. Wow, so she died young. So because she died young, it gave me like a passion and a zeal to like, hey, what can I do, you know, now? Because she didn't make it to C50. So what are some things I want to do now, and how can I take control of my life and do things the way I want to do, you know, set up my own vision. One of those things I want to do was, you know, become a judge, which obviously you have to go to law school. So I did a little bit different. I called. You know, I called Southern.
Okay.
Because I had some friends who went to Southern.
Gotcha.
And I called. I knew I want to go to HBCU.
Okay.
So I didn't want to have to deal with a lot of other stuff. So I called Southern. I called TSU, and basically like, hey, I know it's late. I got back late. I just got back from Iraq. This happened. My mama just died. And I remember, I forget who it was, but they're like, hey, can you be here this weekend? And like, just that's basically what happened. I just told my story. Someone had some sympathy for me. And you know, I had everything in line. I had my LSAT score. I had the grades and everything. It's just I just missed the deadline by a little bit. So, but for her passing away, I probably would never even went to law school because the intention was for her to, you know, come and stay with me because she was sick at the time. But for her passing away, you know, I was like, let me take some different steps with my life.
You know, hearing that, it is something to be said for HBCUs, right? Because so many times HBCUs, we get a bad rep, right? We get a bad rep, but honestly, hearing your story up to this point, if it had not been for someone taking a chance,
oh yeah, most definitely, yeah, definitely,
right?
definitely. Yeah, I think a lot more credit should go to HBCUs because, I mean, even statistically, when you look at the amount of judges, lawyers, doctors, most of them, they come from HBCUs. A lot of times we're looking at professional folks in our communities. A lot of them come from HBCUs. Yeah, for some reason, we still try to, you know, pretend like, you know, they don't matter, but they've had a huge impact on American culture, American society. You know, the people that they produce, whether it be, you know, a PV, you know, they produce a couple people over there, a Southern, a TU, they produce great people. And I think that needs to be factored into the calculus of our society.
I hear you. So you passed the bar. Had conversations with a couple attorneys on the Attorneys Edition. If you hadn't watched that, go ahead and watch that after you watch this one. And rigorous testing process. I don't know how it was when you took yours, but I was told that there's a 3-day testing.
Yeah, it's 3 days. Yep.
And it's like a 6 hour, 3 hour, or somewhere, something like that. What was your experience like with the bar?
The bar? I think I studied like everybody else.
Yeah.
In my mind, and I feel like I did everything I was supposed to do. Like I did all the study, what have you. By the time we got to the bar, I wasn't thinking like, am I going to fail the bar? I'm thinking I'd already had my website created. I just need to publish it. I had cards created. I just need to pass them out. I just need the bar card. So I went into the bar like I'm about to pass the bar. It's not whether, and that's what happened. Like even during the bar, some of my friends, I was joking, they go to their car and study up, knock on the window. I'm like, if you don't know it yet, you just don't know it. Like, and they would get away from my car,
Get away from my car. I'm trying to study.
But although I joke, it's also based in, just faith-based too, right?
Yep,
I had a lot
yep.
of faith, but I believe I'd done the work. I mean, I did what I was supposed to do. So,
Wow. So with being a judge, you've taken the bar. I'm guessing you have to practice law first before
Right.
becoming a
Yes.
judge.
So
How was that process?
it was great for me.
Okay.
So a lot of people, they want to. When I first came out of the military, because of how do I say, some of the situations I've been put in by other people having control over my life, I said when I got my law degree, I wanted to take full control of my path. Right. I didn't want someone to tell me you have to go over here and go over there, because when I was in the military, going over here, going over there, I was getting, hit by a bomb or getting shot at.
Right.
I wanted to have full control of what I was doing.
Full control of your life.
And so I started out. I had my own shingle, as they say. I started getting my own cases.
What are shingles for the people?
So like basically when you start your own practice,
Okay,
hang your own
okay,
shingle,
okay.
right? So
Gotcha.
law office of DaSean Jones, but I just
Gotcha,
went out, was
gotcha.
independent. So I just went out, passed out cards, used my networks, and started getting cases, and for all intents and purposes, started doing well. Most of my cases were plaintiff-based cases, so I did a lot of cases like the personal injury case, the car accidents, the wrongful deaths, but I also did a lot of Title VII cases, which are Civil Rights Act of 1964. Gender, age, race, religion, nationality, disability discrimination cases.
Okay.
I did a ton of those. I did a lot of cases for nurses. So there's a thing called a Nursing Practice Act where nurses can blow the whistle, so to speak, like a whistleblower case. Let's say you're at a hospital and something's going wrong and they blow the whistle. Well, they're not supposed to be fired or retaliated for that, but oftentimes they are. So I represent a lot of nurses. I had a huge client base of nurses, which was really, really cool.
I bet.
And then I also did cases for military personnel who were getting administrative separation boards.
In that journey, I heard you mention, basically supporting, in a way, your people.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Right. So, what does that look like when you're a judge and you have to start to separate the man versus the seat, right? You have a nurse that is getting wrongfully charged or sued for something. How do you separate that?
Right. So presently I'm in a criminal seat, so it's mostly criminal crimes. I think it's easy. Well, I think it's easy to separate.
I think it's easy.
So you got to put yourself to the side. I
Okay.
think you have to be selfless. In the military, we had an ideology, selfless service. When you work for others before you work for yourself.
Gotcha.
And most of these things, they have a construct, right? They have certain elements you have to meet. And the easiest way is just follow the elements. If it doesn't meet that, go to the first element, it's a yes or no. Then go to the second element, it's a yes or no. A lot of people, they don't follow the law because, they put their personal beliefs before everything else. I just think the way my life's been structured and set up, I rarely had a chance to put myself before other things, if that makes sense. So I don't do it now in this seat. And again, I just look at the elements, follow the elements. It's almost like we were talking about calculus earlier.
Right.
A little bit simpler, but I'm just following the steps, like Chipotle, right?
Got you. Just follow the steps.
Just follow the steps.
Yeah. Check the box. Yes. Check the box.
If
No.
yeah.
All right. The paperwork said that. I didn't say
Yeah,
it.
basically, and that's what it boils down to.
Okay.
I think a lot of people they go around that. They circumvent it. They'll add to it. They'll make assumptions. Testimony didn't even come in. Well, I believe. Once you start saying I believe, I mean that's just horrible in the court.
Gotcha.
Either it happened or it didn't
Gotcha.
happen.
With this upcoming election, you're a Democratic
Right.
judge, correct?
Correct. I'm a Democrat.
You're a Democrat.
As a judge, I'm all that goes away though. Just let me put it out there.
Okay,
So as a
cool.
judge, I'm impartial.
Got it.
When I campaign, yes, I am a Democrat.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. What's your take on Kamala Harris running for president?
I'm glad you asked that question.
Uh-oh.
Nah, I think it's great. I think it presents a lot of there's a lot of backdrop to it that I think needs to be seen. Kind of like how people say peeling back the onion to open the orange, right? I think some people are very comfortable in this country of thinking that everyone is their friend, they like them. But what I've seen with the Harris campaign is that we've seen a lot of people have a lot of issues, particularly with melanated folks in this country. One of the things I think, because it's happened to me, is the whole idea of a DEI, right?
Right.
The diversity, equity, inclusion. I feel like it's more so definitely earned it, right?
Right.
A lot of people, I saw someone put on Instagram, it was like a joke, put your resume up against Kamala's, I want to see something, right? Like basically, like we keep trying to say that brown people, black people, what have you, are not qualified just because of the way they look, which kind of goes back, content of character, right? Martin Luther King. Still here in 2024, we're living in a society where people cannot seem to separate the two and actually give an objective opinion of, okay, she has done the job. You know what I'm saying? You may not like her, but she has done the job. Same goes for me and a lot of other folks. You may not like me, but I have done the jobs. Like, people, they try to attack. I've had someone try to attack my military career. I have 2 Bronze Star medals. They didn't give them to me. They didn't say, hey, we like you, black guy, let's give you the Bronze Star. You had to go and earn them, right? So that's one thing I think I've seen that I just do not like about that. Another thing I've seen is I like the fact that it's caused a sudden surge within certain communities, because she does play in different communities that I do believe need to have more involvement in the political process. The fact that, she's part of, the D9, I think that community in and of itself, that it represents, they need to have more involvement in the political process. And so if that's able to bring people to the table, whether or not you like her, if it brings those people to the table to participate in these political processes, I think that's great. It's good for everybody. And
I agree.
And then finally, I just like the fact there's a lot of energy behind it. I'm in politics, so when I see the energy, it's good for me, makes me feel good. I love the energy.
Like, hey, they like us.
Yeah, they like us again, right? A lot of people hate us. You know what I'm saying? I had someone jumped on my social media today talking about some DEI. Back at the old me, I just want to talk about their mama, but I gave him a professional response.
You've grown.
I've grown.
You've evolved.
And it's kind of funny. You get these people that jump on social media and they'll say all these things. DEI, POS, all this stuff. You just get to see a lot of hate mongers out here.
Hate.
And it's probably a lot deeper than what we think. And it's just good that people are revealing themselves, because now you can actually know what you're dealing with. So,
revealing yourself. That is. I think that is the thing that we were missing 5 to 10 years ago.
Okay.
I don't feel that everyone was as honest. I think with social media, it's definitely upticked a lot more. Right. But for negative and positive, right? But I think that you hit the nail on the head when you said when they're honest, when they are saying, hey, this is where I am, now you know how to play the game. Right. Now you know who you're dealing with. Right? Wow. That is awesome. So give me a little bit of information about this journey leading to possible Supreme Court.
So what we've been doing is, first, it's 254 counties in Texas. Okay. It means we have to try to touch every county if possible. We've been going all throughout the state, whether it be through social media, in person. We have volunteers in different segments of the state helping us out. Recently, we just came back from Dallas. That was a good little trip. Before that, we went to Central Texas. A lot of veterans out in Central Texas, so I love that. Okay. That was a fun trip. Okay. And now we're looking at more social media aspect, like, how to contact people on social media, because it's impossible to get. Texas is too big. Way too big. Harris County, just in of itself, being one county, is bigger than a lot of states. Exactly. And now you have like another 253 more counties you have to touch, and we have to figure out a way to do that, and we're going to be able to do it, I think, by some things we discussed. Okay. So my fellow veterans, they've been super helpful, super energized. Their whole thing is, we got one of us. You know what I'm saying? He's like us. And I did it for real. Like I went on the sidelines. I was
you were really shooting in the gym.
Yeah, you can say it that way. But so like they're enthusiastic about it, and so even in El Paso, Amarillo, Longview, I've been in touch with veterans. They've been very supportive of the campaign. I asked them to do stuff, they'll do it for me. And then similarly, D9 have been well activated. So it's exciting. It's exciting. It's a good look. One of the main things we're doing now is just fundraising and awareness. Those are two main things: fundraising and awareness.
Got you. You mentioned a Bronze Star.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. It sounds amazing, a huge achievement. But could you explain what that is, how you received it? What's
So
the criteria on it?
so I'll talk about. I have two of them. So
I have two.
yeah. But
Subtle flex.
yeah, no, not a flex. It's just a fact.
That's facts.
Yeah. And I gracefully accepted them. Right. So one of them was for we were doing a mission. Is MSR Tampa was what it's called. It's like a main supply route in Iraq.
Okay.
And my job was to escort some folks to go do a demolition of. They would find like different ammunitions that our enemies were using, and they would just demo them. So we worked with like a SEAL team, some other folks, and we demo those things, and we'd have to travel to an area to do it, and I would do the security. So my guys do security. And we did it like pretty much on a constant basis, right? To where we kind of started to pick up a routine. And one thing you do not want in a combat zone is a routine, because a routine usually results.
Trackable.
Yeah, and you can usually get attacked. And that's what happened. We got hit. My convoy got hit by an IED, which is an improvised explosive device. Basically, it wasn't a pressure plate. It was I think it was one of say it was 8 daisy chain. It's a 152 round. It's like an artillery round. And so daisy chain is basically they take them, they link them together, and then as we're going through the kill zone, that's what they call the area trying to kill you, the kill zone. We hit the engagement, going through the kill zone. They detonated it, and it hit our vehicles or whatever. Luckily, no one died, so that was great. We secured the area and then kept on with our mission. I'll just say that much. And that's what I got one of them.
I just say that much.
Yeah.
I hear you. Wow. I can't say enough. Thank you for your service. Now, I really don't think military personnel get the ball. Of course, you go to a ball game, right? And every football, baseball, basketball game, they salute one member of service, right? But I think that it can go a step further.
Yeah, I think my opinion of it has been it gets politicized a little too much. You know, you get all these people that say thank you for your service, but what do they really do besides say thank you? And I'll leave it at that. It's a touchy subject for me. It's a touchy subject for me. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Got you. So, for those who don't know, what all does a Supreme Court judge do for the state of Texas?
So, essentially, so in this state we have 2 higher level courts. We have one is Criminal Court of Appeals. They do all the criminal cases. And we have the Supreme Court. They do all the civil cases. Some states, they're conjoined. Here, it's bifurcated. So all your civil cases, they get appealed. Eventually, if they keep appealing, eventually get to the Supreme Court, and they'll decide whether to take it up and make a decision on it. For instance, you might have your personal injury cases. They might go up there. Cases regarding the reproductive rights cases that have been going up there. Those have been making a lot of steam in the media lately. Property cases, eminent domain cases. Things of that nature. Also, they stand as an administrative body for the state bar. So they get to handle a lot of administrative issues for the state bar. It's a lot of it's a lot of influence. It's a lot of administration, and I think it's one of those courts where people say it doesn't have to, it doesn't affect my life, but it does, because whatever decisions they make, those decisions trickle down. Like, for instance, with respect to the one a lot of people are familiar with the reproductive rights, I think the other day someone was saying like 35,000 women have had to leave Texas in order to, have that type of health care, because the doctors here are afraid to do it, because the decisions that have been written don't really outline how it can be done here. So it's like, is it legal? Is it not legal? No one wants to take the risk, right? No one wants to go to jail. Doctors don't want to go to jail. So when people say it doesn't affect them, it definitely does. It's just you probably just don't. You don't get it immediately, right? So I had a friend. He had a personal injury case that I think they just made a decision on that one, where, for instance, a lady was walking. I think she walked and stepped on a pallet at a store, and hurt herself real bad. The jury, I want to say, awarded about $6 million for that case. However, it's my understanding that when it went up to Supreme Court, they did away with it. Long story short.
Really?
And I'm not saying how I would rule on or anything like that. It's just an example of those are things that could affect you, but you may not think they affect you now.
Gotcha.
Voting rights, right? Like, the idea of whether or not people can vote. A lot of issues are going around the United States with the Voting Rights Act.
Yep.
The whole idea of gerrymandering, redistricting, things of that nature. Those are issues that are often settled by your Supreme Courts. And if you pay attention, again, I'm a Democrat. If you pay attention on the Republican side, there's this whole conversation about how they've loaded up all the federal courts and Supreme Courts, and there's a reason for that. Some people aren't paying attention, but there's definitely a reason for that.
Okay. You are lacing us up with so much game.
I hope so.
Before doing research on this particular episode, I personally didn't know
Right.
to what extent the Supreme Court judge impacts my life.
Right.
And I mean, these are just a couple of examples, I'm sure, but these are things that are happening in our everyday lives.
Right.
With that being said, when you're on this push, what are some things that you are presenting as ways that you can help while you're in the Supreme Court seat?
So I guess I wouldn't use the term help. I
Okay.
think because that, you know, we always have to be impartial as judges. But what I will say is right now the Supreme Court is composed of 9 folks, all of which are Republican, none of which are African American. Interestingly enough, in Texas, we have more African Americans than any other state, right? We have no representation in our highest court, though. So I think that's interesting. I think often folks that are voters, they want to be represented, right? Whether it be a county court, municipal court, sheriff's office, we want to be represented everywhere. Go ahead.
I'm sorry to stop you. I really am. Could you repeat those numbers one more time? Because the facts are the facts, right?
Yeah.
What are those numbers again?
So there's nine Supreme Court justices, right?
Okay.
And all of which are all Republican, right? So the thing is, you have Democrats that live in the state, you have African Americans that live in the state, you have Asians, Hispanics, what have you, right?
Right.
Just between you and I, we have no African American representatives, and it's not so much what they say, identity politics per se. You can't often hear someone's story unless you can identify with a person. If you have a group of people that are unwilling to come to your neighborhoods,
Right.
unwilling to attend your churches, unwilling to come to your civic groups, and then you have an issue that arises that lands in their lap at the Supreme Court, what are the odds that they're going to understand it from your perspective? Does that make sense? It's good to have someone in the room that can potentially explain a perspective. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
So there's been times, I've had friends, even in like when you work in the justice system, there's been people in certain rooms that have to explain cultural things that go on, things of that nature. I'm not saying it's always going to be about that, but right now you have no representation. Let me put it like that. Like
You have to explain. Well, this is the life that they're living.
Yeah.
This is why they probably made the decision or their thought process.
Or even the impact it can have, or historical impact. When I was doing employment cases in federal courts and in state courts, sometimes one of the concerns for a lot of the litigants were particularly a lot of the lawyers I talked to. You have judges that you're trying to bring a race case, right? You have judges that don't believe in racism. So you can't bring a race case with a judge that doesn't believe in racism. Does that make sense? It's like a non-starter. And so you have a law that's been set up. It's been around for ages, since the 60s. But you got judges be like, that doesn't happen. And so oftentimes, understanding that factor, we would also try to plead other things because we're like, hey, they're probably not going to go for the race thing. They might go for the disability thing,
right.
because they don't get it or they don't want to understand it. So that's reality. I mean, people can try to dodge it, but it's reality.
Harsh reality. Harsh reality. Well, Judge Jones, as we begin to wrap up, where can they find you? How can they support you and your Supreme Court run? So
you can find me pretty much on all platforms. It's going to be at DaSean, DaSean, FORTEXAS, DaSean for Texas.
Okay.
To donate, just simply go to your phone and you can send it to 801. 801 is the number that you can send it to. Send DaSean, which is spelled DaSean, to 801 801. If you're on ActBlue, just go to ActBlue and type in DaSean, DaSean. DaSean, that's just, and then if you see me out, say hello. Just don't run up too fast.
Don't run up too fast, because he's certified. Well, Brother Jones, it was an absolute pleasure sitting with you today. I thank you for taking out just a snippet of your time to have this conversation. And folks, if you see him out on the street, give him a head nod, give him a chunk of deuce, say what's up to him. He's an awesome guy, and he's here to fight for us, and not only us, but Texas as a whole.
Oh yeah, most definitely. So,
well, thank you for your time.
Oh yeah, appreciate you.
Appreciate it. And till next time, it's D McKnight. Cigars and coffee. Y'all be blessed. Peace.